At yun nga, no, mga kabayan, na pag-usapan nga po natin na yung balita patungkol sa tanim witness, na kinasasangkutan po, di umano, ni Senator Risa Hontiveros. Atin nga po napabalitaan na ito pong si alias Rene, ay lumabas sa social media at sinabi nga po na ito pong si Senator Risa Hontiveros, binayaran po siya ng halos aabot sa 1 milyon para lang po magipit ito pong si Kibuloy, si Pangulong Duterte at si VP Inday Sara. Meron pong instances na ayon po dito kay Atty. Topacio, hindi lang daw po 'yon yung unang beses na masangkot si Senator Risa sa ganyang issue, mga kabayan. Meron pa daw pong mga instances na nasangkot pa itong si Senator Risa sa tanim witness nga, mga kabayan. Ito po ay galing kay kay Atty. Topacio. Ito, mga kabayan, pakinggan po natin yung interview po kay Atty. Topacio patungkol nga po diyan sa sa dagdag dagdag tanim witness na yan, mga kabayan.
Supposed to be, he claims now that the Senator Risa Hontiveros, paid him ₱1 million basically to speak ill of the KOJC leader. What are your thoughts on this?
I do not know Mr. Murillo. I think he's the one who goes by the moniker alias Rene, if I'm not mistaken. But if he is saying that, it would not be the first time that there would be an accusation of witness tampering and subornation of perjury against Senator Risa Hontiveros. Because I personally know of 2 incidents wherein the same manner of accusation was made against Senator Hontiveros.
Tell us more about that.
I think Jing Paras, who was a guest in one of your shows here, gave a gist of what happened. This was during the time of the controversy surrounding Kian de los Santos, who was killed by the police in a supposed rob-out. And while I believe that the policemen involved there were rightfully punished for their crime, still it does not detract from the fact that with respect to certain witnesses who were of minor age at the time, Senator Hontiveros intervened by getting them from the custody of their lawful parents and bringing them somewhere else. As a result of which, the father of one of those children approached us in the Volunteers Against Crime and Corruption under then Dante Jimenez. And Dante Jimenez assigned me as the chief legal counsel at the time of the VACC, and former Congressman Jing Paras, who is one of our volunteer lawyers, to take care of the problem, and we brought the matter to the attention of the CIDG. And the CIDG, after investigating it, sent operatives to the Senate to talk to Senator Risa Hontiveros. At the time, her staff said that she was not in, although Senate security confided to us that she was in her office. And the second would be with respect to the Farmally case, where a certain Mark Clarence said on video, on record, that he was bribed by Senator Hontiveros with electric bikes and certain amounts of money to testify falsely against executives of Farmally. And we still have the sworn statement of that person. We still have his video. And as a result of these 2 incidents, a case for kidnapping and an ombudsman case was filed against Senator Risa Hontiveros. So probably...
And what is the status of that?
We have not been informed of the status, but if Senator Hontiveros has filed the case, maybe it was because of her experience with these 2 cases that she decided to preempt the filing of cases against her by filing her own case.
So does that mean to say that you believe this Michael Maurilio?
I reserve my judgment. However, there are 2 points that I wish to raise. Number 1, these allegations are serious and deserve the investigation not only of the police authorities, the NBI, but the Senate itself by its ethics committee. Because, as I've said, this is not the first time that Senator Risa Hontiveros was accused of these things. Number 2, Risa Hontiveros, being a public official, should not be, to use the shop-worn phrase, she should not be onion-skinned, because a public official, by entering public service, holds herself out to a higher standard of conduct and should expect the public to scrutinize her behavior. That's why, with respect to libel and cyber libel, the usual presumption of malice does not apply when you're a public official. Instead, it is the public official who must prove malice on the part of the person alleged to have libeled her in order to secure a conviction.
Does it mean, attorney, that what the senator did the other day, going to the NBI, and basically, to be very clear about it, is to initiate the investigation and the prosecution of the persons responsible for the creation and management of this pagtanggol, Valiente, as well as Michael Murillo and others? Do you think that was being onion-skinned of her? Because I do recall when she was being interviewed by the media, she says that, this is part of her job, mangyayari siguro yung mga ganitong klase. Pero yung pwede, you can call her out on certain things, basically rewording it. But when you lie or when you tamper with the witnesses, that's a different story, and that's something na hindi niya palalampasin.
That's what I said during my TikTok interview earlier. She is well within her rights.
Okay.
However, she must expect that because I do not believe that one person, as I've said, I'm reserving my judgment on this alias Rene. But I do not believe such a person or the other persons who previously made allegations against her would have the courage to make baseless allegations considering how powerful and influential Ms. Ontiveros is. So I think instead of investigating whether there was a lying here or whatever, the investigation should cover everything. The NBI should investigate not only whether or not this witness was lying, but whether or not there is truth to his allegations in order to make it fair.
Both sides.
Yes, both sides.
All right. Do you think, you were saying a while ago that this is a serious matter, before we go to what you were saying, that there should be an ethics complaint filed against her regarding this. It's serious because meron pong witness na nagsabing may problema ang KOJC, na kinawawa siya, naabuso siya, etc. And then, bumaliktad at sinabi na pinilit lang siya ng supposed to be ni Senator Risa na sabihin ito. But with regards to Senator Risa Ontiveros' defense when she was talking to media, kasi nakita yung parang pagkadismaya at galit niya. Meron ho kasi siya, attorney, ng mga resibo. In fact, her office had shown that this man, this individual, supposedly emailed them back in 2023. He left KOJC around 2021, the year 2021. They did not respond immediately, to which Michael Murillo had reached out to them 2 more times. And then he even asked at some point for a laptop dahil para daw magkaroon siya ng trabaho, to which the senator's office said they don't really give out such monetary or even laptops for that matter, kasi ayaw niyang magkaroon ng misconception doon sa kung magbigay man ng laptop or kahit na anong tulong dito sa witness. Let's just stop there first because there are more. Yun pa lang, what do you think about that? Because from a laptop na ayaw ibigay ng office ni Senator Risa to him being paid 1 million pesos, supposedly.
As I said, judgment has to be reserved on that. But that is why I'm calling on the NBI to investigate not only from the point of view of Senator Ontiveros that this person is lying, but from the point of view of the person as to whether or not there was pecuniary exchanges made in exchange for his testimony. Because that is also allegations. There were also allegations made against Senator Ontiveros in law that proves a pattern. So that is part of a pattern of events that strengthens the possibility that a present action was done on the basis of previous actions. And that is admissible in court, actually.
Okay. Attorney, but when you look at the series of events that supposed to be happened, there was also in February 2024, this individual said he was being convinced, allegedly, by some acquaintances in the KOJC to recant his previous testimony. And then in June 2022 and 2025, He messaged supposedly that he was abducted. Kinidnap ako at tinatakot ako. Dito ako kinulong sa Glory Mountain. Help me please. To which the office of the senator forwarded this to PNP Davao. And then the video. I know that, I guess what I'm trying to understand here or try to get from you is, while you're saying there could be a pattern because there were previous supposed to be incidents, when you hear something like this na merong resibo at may maipapakita po,
This is how you eat an Oreo.
Our ultimate immunity protection. Potency Zinc Advance. Buy now.
does that show that the witness is not believable or not credible?
These are matters that are addressed to the investigator. We have to take the overall context of these things because, remember, witnesses recant all the time. In the case of Senator De Lima, the witnesses recanted. There were documents that point to the fact before that the first testimonies pointing to Senator De Lima as the person behind the so-called believed drug trade. These testimonies seem to have been given voluntarily. But later on, they recanted and the court believed the recantation. So, I'm not saying the recantation of alias Rene is believable or not. All I'm saying is that based on previous pattern and based on the surrounding circumstances, there may be more to this that meets the eye. All I'm saying is that I am interested in the truth of this. And now, with respect to the ethics complaint, there is something wrong, not only because there is this recantation, but because money may have changed hands with respect to testimony. That is why, if I recall correctly, then Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre also filed an ethics complaint against Senator Ontiveros for violating the Anti-Wiretapping Act. And this case, this violation of the Anti-Wiretapping Act is still pending, if I'm not mistaken, before the Pasay City RTC. So there is this pattern that, as I was saying, deserves more serious consideration and a much closer look.
So, with regards to this ethics complaint, who do you think should file it?
Any senator may file, actually any private citizen may file, or any person affected by the testimony. Remember that I filed an ethics complaint against then Congressman Dan Fernandez for violating the rights of my client and for trying to embarrass me in front of media and that August chamber. So any person affected may file before the committee.
But because you're one of the lawyers of Apollo Quiboloy, Pastor Apollo Quiboloy, do you think that your group, your team, or somebody from your team should file an ethics complaint?
I have suggested as much to the team, but of course, our team leader is Attorney Torreon, and I will leave it up to him. I leave it to his sound discretion.
How important is it for your group or your team to reach out, or has anyone reached out to this Michael Maurilio?
Not, as far as I know, none of us. It appears to have been spontaneous, but of course, if someone who recants, let us be candid here. If there is a witness who is doing an act that is favorable to your client, it is natural to extend help and assistance to that particular witness.
Of course. Hence the question, has anyone reached out?
Well, from my point of view, from where I'm sitting, I have no knowledge, but I would not be surprised, of course. It would be the natural thing to do for a lawyer.
All right. And you are also the lawyer of former Congressman Arnulfo Teves, and recently you were given this new job. You are the spokesperson for the PDP Laban with regards to the impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte. That's right.
Yes, that's right. They could not find any other person who was willing to work long hours without pay.
We're going to talk about that after the break. We'll be right back with Attorney Ferdinand Topacio. Stay tuned. This is On Point. You're watching On Point, still with us, Attorney Ferdinand Topacio. First, let's talk about the impeachment complaint against Vice President. Sara Duterte. So you're the spokesperson for the PDP with regard to the impeachment on the Vice President. Is there anything that the PDP is doing with regards to the impeachment complaint?
With respect to the impeachment complaint, the PDP, as an old party and one of the major parties in the opposition, thought it would be proper for it to be heard on a matter of national interest that may have serious legal and political repercussions in the national life. So that's why they appointed a spokesman. We have a general spokesman in the person of Attorney Raul Ambino, of course, who has been doing a fantastic job. But they saw the need for someone who would be laser focused on this single issue alone.
And what exactly are you doing now as the spokesperson for the impeachment complaint for PDP? Because right now, from my understanding, the Senate impeachment court is still waiting for the second certification from the House prosecution panel with regards to, well, number one, they already did the certification on the 1-year bar, that they did not violate that. And the second is supposed to be that the 20th Congress is willing to pursue what the 19th Congress did. Yun po yung hinihintay, supposed to be ng
Yes, ma'am.
impeachment court now. Okay.
So, well, they want the PDP to articulate its sentiments on the ongoing trial proceedings before the Senate. Our stand on the matter is quite simple. Number one, that there was a violation of the 1-year ban. I believe this issue had already been raised last February 18 before the Supreme Court, but there is no action yet. And number two, that under the terms of the fundamental charter or the Constitution, such an impeachment complaint should not survive the transition from the 19th to the 20th Congress. And we are issuing statements in support of that because historical experience shows us that in the last 2 impeachment complaints, they radically changed the course of our nation's history. In the case of Erap Estrada, it triggered another people power revolution, so to speak. In the case of CJ Corona, the country was not only divided, it was not only later demonstrated to be a case of persecution because he was practically exonerated when he was restored to his full privileges post-mortem or posthumously by the Supreme Court. But it also triggered a domino effect with respect to the removal of CJ Sereno. So we believe that by contributing to the national debate, we exhibit fealty to what the late Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes of the U.S. Supreme Court said, that the ultimate good desired is better reached in the free trade of ideas.
Are you saying, in a way, because of the past experiences that you had mentioned historically in the Philippines of impeachment cases, that there's nothing good about impeachment cases and trying them?
No, I would not say that. In fact, the process of impeachment or the mechanism of impeachment is an integral part of the transparency and accountability provisions of the Constitution. But then, impeachment is a two-edged sword. It can cut for good or for evil. If used to enforce transparency, if used to curb corruption, if used to address abuses in official functions, then it is very useful. But when it is used as a blunt instrument for political persecution or political assassination, then that is when the trouble begins.
And then you have the two sides actually saying that. You have the Vice President basically saying this is being used for political persecution because I'm a front runner for the 2028 elections. And then you have the House prosecution panel who's talking about accountability, taking officials to hold to public account, right? Because of supposedly what they...
Caltex with Techron. Keep your engine clean. Drive further with Caltex with Techron.
They had discovered on confidential funds, etc. So it's a two-edged sword, and you don't know actually which one, anong mananaig dun sa dalawa.
Well, para sa akin, if you're going to talk of transparency and accountability, you cannot be hypocritical. What is sauce for the goose should be sauce for the gander. If you're talking about confidential funds, the DOJ has $500 million in confidential funds. The DILG has $500 million in confidential funds. Between the two Remulla brothers, there is $1 billion in confidential funds. The Office of the President has 4.5 billion